Welcome to the Bait Boys Podcast, the podcast where 60% of the time the clear coat works every time. My name is Jesse with Freek Baits Custom Fishing Lures, and as always, I am joined by my picturesque co-hosts, Trevor from Peak Baits and Anthony from Lazy Baits Co. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Good. How you doing?
Peaking.
I think that's the best response yet.
Out of... what is this, episode 13? Yes, that is the best one so far. But anyway, we are also joined by Dennis from Perko Lures. We're very excited to have Dennis on. Thank you, Dennis, for joining us. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great, guys. How y'all?
Good.
Fantastic.
Thanks for being here.
Better.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we're very excited to dive into the world that is Perko Lures. But first, we have a few announcements to make. Anthony, I'm going to let you kick it off. Anthony and Trevor, this is a co-announcement from what I understand, and then I'll finish this up.
Co-announcement. We dropped some new baits. We got the budget battle rat. This is our original rat. Mine's going to have a flash tail. What's yours going to have, Trevor? Just the regular tail. The OG tail. But these have color all the way through the bait. I've been fishing this for 2 years now. And you can see it's all hook rashed, but the color's still there. So we're selling these for under $40. You get a nice little wake bait, and then the battle mouse, which is the more finesse version. So these are out now. This is a little gray one. My wife named it Gray Rat. She names all of my colors because I'm not original. Although that's not that original either. Gray Rat.
I mean,
okay.
It's more original than 17 fish named Nicholas, so.
There's only 3.
Well, I don't know how many fish you have.
Well, only the 3 goldfish are named Nicholas. None of the other ones have names. Yeah. No, I'm not good with names. She named our daughter, thank God. Otherwise, it'd probably be Nicholas also.
Fair enough. So you and Trevor are both offering both versions, is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, so he's going to be doing the battle mouse also. That one's the same though, right? Same, just a different tail you're using, probably.
It would have helped if I had one with me, right, to show?
Yeah, the Goblin.
Check
his Instagram. And then this one is a flash, so it has a big Colorado blade, and Trevor will have the standard tail. This thing makes a nice spinny and some slapping on top of the water. I caught an 8.5 pound bass on this a few weeks ago. Broke my PB by over 1.5 pounds. And I had the GoPro rolling, so I thought I had it strapped to my chest. And I never pull the footage on the lake. And I'm like, I have to see this video. And I take the SD card out, and I wasn't recording. And I was ready to just dive into the water and call it a day. But you know what? Matt from Veterans Fishing made me feel better. He's like, it's like the 90s again. Not everything was on video. It happened. It doesn't need to be on video. I'm like, you're right. Thank you. Still hurt, though.
Well, at least you got some pictures.
Yes, I did get pictures.
And some video, just not of the catch. So there's no question.
Catch.
There's no question. It did happen, unlike the fish that Trevor never actually caught that we talked about a couple episodes ago.
Never happened. Never got a picture.
Nope, it's a fisherman's tail.
It's okay. It's going to happen for you soon, Trev. I believe in you. Maybe with the Peking duck.
Oh, you never know.
Throwback. Well, we'll leave links to both websites in the description below, and we'll just have a popularity contest between Peak Baits and Lazy Baits Co. You pick whichever one you like better and go buy their
both
bait.
of them.
Yeah, no, I'd rather pitch you against each other, and then because I don't have a dog in this fight.
I'm already scared of Jesse.
We'll get to that. Actually, let's get to that now. I have a statement based on the last ad spot that was aired in episode 12 with Joe from Bait and Tackle. I would just like to say that that was uncharacteristic for me. And I am truly sorry that Anthony is still incapable of finding sponsors. You would beat them up too if you had to go through what I go through. So I'm sorry that you all had to deal with that. Anthony, I'm not sorry, although I do hope your foot heals soon.
The weirdest part is I'm kind of into the beatings. Well, anyway.
I could kind of tell. Anyway, moving on back to contests. The moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to announce the winners of our Bait Boys Color Challenge contest, both the winner of the contest itself and the giveaway of the baits. So we're going to do that right now. Remember, we had a very stringent set of rules that had to be followed in order to complete your entry. So we only ended up with 9 people who completed all of the steps that were required, which means
Good
we're giving away
job.
3 baits. Yeah. Kudos to the 9 of you that were able to follow all the instructions and complete every step successfully. Names have been loaded into the wheel, and we'll spin that in just a second. But first, we're going to announce what order they will be given away in, based on the order that they were ranked in the popular vote. So I'm not going to lie. I imagined this going exactly like this whenever we posted it. So it's not a surprise to me that I am in last place.
That surprised me.
Surprised
Not
me.
really. Not
me
really
at all. And I
last
don't.
place.
Yeah, well,
We tied.
yeah, but
I got half
Anyway.
of Bob's vote.
Bob got a vote and a half just because he's Bob and Bob's awesome. But it was more, Anthony and I were tied for second.
Thanks,
But-
Bob.
Bob broke the tiebreaker for us. So so last place goes to me, Jesse from Freek Baits. Second place goes to Anthony from Lazy Baits
Yes.
Co. And first
Top
place
3.
called it from the beginning. First place, Trevor from Peak Baits with his beautiful summit in purple,
Thank you, everybody.
orange, and blue.
Good
Yeah,
job.
Well deserved. Well deserved. All right, let's give these suckers away and then get to our guest. All right. So first we'll be giving away the third place bait, which is mine. So like I said, we've only got 9 people in the wheel. That means a third of these people are going to be walking away with a bait.
Shouldn't it be first place goes first?
We can do it that way. I
totally just screwed everything up, didn't I?
No, not really. We can do it whatever way you want to do it.
What do you
Trevor,
what
what
do
do
you
you
think, Trev?
I'll let you two fight it out.
No, you got to be the tiebreaker.
First place goes first. That's my vote.
Okay,
makes
we'll go
sense.
first place first. We'll go first place first then, because I'd rather do that than pay Anthony's medical bills. So we'll do first place if you will sign an affidavit saying that I no longer owe you any money.
All right, deal.
Deal. All right. So the first place. So this is the bait painted by Trevor from Peak Baits, goes to
Hey,
RP.
RP Custom Lords.
Nice.
Congratulations.
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 You got yourself a purple, blue, and orange summit on the way. All right. And next, the Lazy Baits Co. Sleepy Shad goes to
Skunk Beer.
Skunk Beer.
I think his Instagram was a hot dog, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a hot dog. He's got some pretty cool art too. All right. And then last but not least, third place, a Freek Baits Slim Thick Glide Bait goes to Seven Fish Zero Guide to. All right. Congratulations to all 3 of you. We will be reaching out in your DMs on Instagram to get your mailing addresses so we can get those shipped out to you. Just a reminder, we will never reach out to ask you for any money if you've won something from us. So if somebody does, they're not us and it's a scam. Don't be dumb. All right. Anything else before we move on? I'm glad to have that
All I
behind us.
got. It went pretty smooth.
It did go pretty smooth. We learned a lot along the way
Mm-hmm.
and made some friends. So that's fine. But anyway, moving on to our guest. Once again, we are joined by Dennis from Perko Lures, and we can't tell you how excited we are to have you on, Dennis. Thank you very much. Dennis is a purveyor of amazing baits of all different types and is a man of many talents from what I understand, but we'll get to that here in just a few. But Dennis, thank you again for joining us. Why don't you tell our audience just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Dennis Perko, and he got started doing this, I guess, during COVID, and it was one of those things that I wanted to make baits because I was going on a trip to Cape Cod to go fish the canal, and so I started making like striper plugs, but we have muskies here in the James River, like 2 minutes from my house. And so I was getting really into muskie fishing back then, but it felt like I could make something that worked better than what I was using. And so I started making baits, and I've got one that I call the prime suspect. It's this guy.
Look
And
at
so
the tail on that thing.
yeah. And
That's awesome.
so, I mean, I guess a little bit before that is before I started doing this, I made prosthetic limbs. And then before I did that, I worked in custom fabrication for like 10 years. And I learned to run a CNC machine while I was there. I also worked with every imaginable resin that you can think of. The company that I worked for, we would go through like the Smooth On catalog and kind of buy everything they made. And we would play with it to see what it was capable of doing so we could offer different stuff in the custom fab world. So in that time, I just got to play with every type of foam and plastic resin and everything you can imagine.
Well,
So
I
that
got questions for you.
yeah, for sure. So I learned a ton while I was there. And so I quit my job right before COVID happened with the prosthetic company. And I didn't know what I was going to do because I had planned on starting a furniture company. I was like, I like doing custom woodworking and stuff. And I had built a ton of tables and chairs and all kinds of stuff that I was going to go to shows and show, but the world shut down and all of those shows got canceled. So I was kind of sitting around with all of this stuff and I didn't know what to do. And I just was really muskie fishing all the time. And so that's when the inspiration to make the lures came along. And I was like, this is something I could do at home and I can send out and I don't have to be in contact with people in person. So it was one of those things that kind of grew that way. And then just as it's gone, I've just started perfecting things and getting better at the process.
That's funny. That it seems like that's such a common thing with COVID. Like same thing happened to me. Like I lost my job. I started woodworking and then it transitioned into making fishing lures. Like people started working with their hands or, picking up a new hobby, and this is where they ended up, just making fishing lures.
But on the other side of that, since COVID has kind of gone away, like you've seen a lot of these little guys go away with it. Like there's only so many people that have stuck through and are still doing it now that the world is back open.
Right. That's like any hobby.
But I mean, these people took up business, like tried to start a business as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's not for the weak.
Jesse's a serial hobbyist, apparently.
Likewise, I build guitars, I make fishing lures, I draw. I mean, you name it.
I've seen your drawings, yeah, of dogs. I saw, right?
Yeah, I did one of my old German short hair.
It's awesome.
And actually, it's a funny story that there was one that I did of 3 dogs that I did for a friend of mine. She commissioned me early on in COVID, and I used the money from that drawing to start my business.
Nice.
That's a cool story.
That was like how the whole thing got funded. She asked me if I would do it, and I told her the price. I didn't think she'd ever say yes because of how expensive the drawing was going to be, but she agreed. And then I used the money to buy resin and all kinds of things to get going on the business.
Good thing for her
Cool.
dogs.
That's a good friend.
Yeah.
That's a great story. I love hearing those origin stories as far as like, this is how I got started in this venture that we were all, this path that we're all on in various places.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always a unique story to be heard. But I want another unique story from you, Dennis, if you don't mind. I want to take it back way before COVID. I know you said you did a lot of muskie fishing, but what got you into fishing in the first place? Was it been a lifelong thing, or is it just something you picked up later on?
Yeah, my dad was a huge fisherman. He passed away a few years ago, but he got me into it when I was, like there's pictures of me fishing in diapers. There's a picture of me, my mom has it, but I had like an inline spinner and it's hooked in my diaper on the back. I went to make a cast and I'm standing there with it hooked in my diaper. So it's been a lifelong thing. So I started out, fishing with my dad on like just on the bank for bluegills and things. And then I had my first kayak when I think I was 7. So I started like fishing the James for smallmouth and stuff. Cause like I said, I only live like 2 minutes away from the James River. So we fished there all the time in the summertime. My dad was a striper guide on Smith Mountain Lake here in Virginia. So I grew up striper fishing on his boat, and I've done all kinds of saltwater things. I went to college in Massachusetts to play hockey. And then after college, I lived on Cape Cod, continued striper fishing up there. So yeah, it's just been a huge lifelong passion. And we only ever hooked muskies kind of as like bycatch during smallmouth season. And I never really targeted them. But then it was unfortunate, but after my dad passed away is when I got into muskie fishing. And since then, I've gotten really good at it, and it's become it's a huge passion for me now. And so I know he would have loved to do it because he always, like, when we would hook him, he was always very excited about that. And so now, like, that I've gotten good at it and I've landed so many, he would be amazed at the size of the ones that we've gotten here locally.
I want to catch one so bad. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Is it safe to say? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say my biggest one was 53 inches I got, and it's one of those things it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, but it happened. I got my 53 incher in the first full year that I was muskie fishing, which a lot of guys go like their whole lives and never get one that's 50, and I got one that was 53 in like the first 3 months. And I have not broken 50 again since. I've gotten a lot that are close in that 48, 49 range, but I've never broken 50 again. And so it's just one of those, freak things that happens. And, I might spend the rest of my life chasing another 50.
Where do you go for something bigger than that?
Up north. So if you want to go like Mille Lacs or, there's a lot of northern waters that hold fish that are like, that can get up to 60 inches, maybe even a touch bigger. There's some real giants up there. And that, that's going to be, that's going to probably be the next step in the journey, is going to be going to these northern fish to try and get something, that big.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it safe to say that it doesn't take you 10,000 casts anymore? Because that's
Yeah, well, it does. It depends on the day, but generally speaking, no, it doesn't. And especially now that like I've kind of gotten the patterns down and like water conditions and temperature and moon phases and things, like you can really pick like, it's funny because you think that when you start a business like this, you're going to get to go fishing as much as you want, right? I know some of you guys are married and have kids. I do not, but the business keeps me so busy that like I don't fish nearly as much as I did before I started making fishing lures. So I have to pick my days, and get out when I can. And the good news is like, when I get to go out, generally speaking, we're moving fish or landing fish every trip. And, I had a buddy of mine, he's a tattoo artist, buddy of mine, Sideshow Brian Wolverton. He came down and went fishing from New Jersey. And he actually lives in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, Brian, if you listen to this, you're not from New Jersey, you're from Pennsylvania. But anyway, he came down and we went fishing, and in 3 days we landed 9 and moved like 50.
What does that mean, move?
Okay. So I'm sorry, I forget. I'm not much of a bass fisherman, so it's probably not quite the same. But so when I say moved, I mean like you laid eyes on a fish that was following your lure. Like as you're reeling it, like that counts in the muskie world. Like seeing a muskie following your bait towards the boat counts towards something.
That's
because
cool.
you might go days, weeks without moving any if you're not out there in the right conditions. So you say like, if you hear guys say I moved one or I moved however many, it means that they had them follow it to the boat. like you see on the Instagram reels where those lures, the guys are coming back and you see the fish chasing it. Sometimes they don't eat; they just come in real hot and you miss them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm glad that you count that or count it as something, because in the bass fishing world, it's just we count it as frustration. It's like, why didn't it eat it?
It's frustrating too, but it's also one of those things. Like it's like when I was first getting into it, the adrenaline rush that comes along with seeing like a 4-foot fish come right to your feet, it'll make your knees shake. Like I would have to sit down after having one come in real hot and miss, because this, like, the adrenaline rush of seeing a fish that's that big literally at your feet is it's just your body just reacts.
You ever have
Yeah,
them eat it like boat side, like right
It
there
happens
at
all
your
the
feet?
time. It happens. We've had them come out of the water. The guy that I was fishing with, he was lifting one of my baits out of the water, and we had like a 3-footer come completely out of the water right at the boat. He missed, but it came. They eat right at the boat all the time. That's part of the adrenaline, or the draw of muskie fishing, is like that's how that happens a lot. It's like you won't even see them. You'll be reeling in, and so it's common practice to do what, you guys may have heard of the figure eight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's common practice after every cast, you go into a figure eight before you pull your fish or lure out of the water. And you do it a couple times because you don't know if there's a fish sitting just outside of what you're seeing or too deep or whatever, and they're going to eat it right at the boat when you go into that figure eight. But yeah, sometimes they'll be sitting under your boat. Like they'll see that bait coming back a couple times and they'll just hang out under the boat. And then at one of those times when it's coming back, he'll rock it out from under the boat and eat it right at you. You have 6 inches of line out, and now you've got a 48-inch muskie on the end.
That's got to be insane.
Yeah,
It is.
Every muskie guy I talk to, I'm just like, I want to go do that so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are always welcome. I don't have a boat, but I have friends with boats.
We can figure
All right.
that out, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Let's see. Where are you at? Virginia? All right. I could be there by tomorrow.
Anthony likes to invite himself to live with people.
On that
I
before
heard
too.
that on the one I listened to. You guys did with Mike from Sack Pig.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think he wants me living with him. I got the vibe that I'm welcome
Yeah.
there, but he don't want me in his house probably.
Not permanently.
Not
No, that's-
permanently, yes.
No, muskie fishing sounds like a blast, and I definitely want to do it at some point. I know that I've been in places where there are muskie. I've just never known how to target them or known what to do or how to throw. I definitely didn't have the equipment to do it, especially when you're talking a 4-foot fish.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, like I grew up smallmouth fishing, and like a very common thing was you're throwing like a Zoom super fluke, and you'll have one just inhale that, and then you've got him on like, back then it was like 10-pound mono, and your chances of landing it are almost nothing. But it's fun to have it happen. Or they would eat a smallmouth. A lot of times you'd be reeling a smallmouth in, and they'll just come eat the smallmouth as you're reeling it back.
Jeez. I've tried once
fish.
muskie fishing. It lasted about 15 minutes. I feel like it's one of those things where if you don't like have somebody that that can teach you, and like you go out with them and they give you some tips and you have a good time learning, I feel like it's one of those things that's very difficult to just go out alone and try to learn on a big lake. Like I didn't know what to use or what to throw, but I knew there's muskie in there. Like we have one lake that used to be stocked with muskie, and there's some big ones in there, but all I got was a fine for using my motor on the lake and no muskie.
Bummer. Well, lake fishing is a totally different animal. I fish the rivers, and so I wouldn't know where to begin really with lakes. I mean, I guess like you could do the standard things that work in rivers too, like find inlets. They're gonna like cold water, so it's like if you know where there's creeks pouring into the lake or stuff like that, you're gonna want to fish the mouth of that creek where the cold water's coming in. Just things like that would probably be where I would start, but I've never fished a lake for muskies. So it's one of those things that I'd be kind of lost too.
Yeah. It was like 15 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to try to target bass again.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because like that's one of the other points that when I first got into muskie fishing, I was like I would bring my muskie gear and my smallmouth gear, and it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna target muskies, and then if that's kind of slow, I'm gonna bass fish again. You know, at least I'll have a backup plan. The thing is you can't have a backup plan when you're muskie. It has to be muskies only all the time because you never know which cast is going to be the one. And you know you can go all day and not see a single fish, and then we'll land one 100 feet from the ramp at the end of the day. And so it's like you just have to keep grinding on it all day because you don't know which one's going to be the one. And you think it's like, well, muskies aren't going to sit in this type of water. They prove me wrong more often than I care to admit. You know, because it's like people are like, oh well, muskies don't sit in really fast moving water. You know, they like to sit in that calm water around trees and things like that, which is true. But it's like for some times I'll just be bombing a cast into the rapids and have a muskie come out of like a pocket that you didn't see was there because it was underwater. And so you just make as many casts as you can in the day, and you don't know which one's going to be the one, so you just do it.
That's a good point. It's easy to give
Definitely.
up when you have a backup plan.
Right. If you only bring the muskie gear, you can only muskie fish.
Noted.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna have to do one day.
Noted, for sure. Well, that sounds like quite an adventure, but let me ask you about a different adventure, if we don't mind me shifting gears here a little bit, because I think you are the first full-time bait maker that we've had on this show. The first person that does not have a day job, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or this is your day job.
This is it.
Yeah, so
I think Sack Pig might be.
It's a day job.
Yeah.
Oh, was he?
Michael, I think Michael's full time.
Yeah, I think Mike's full time, but see,
I didn't consider that.
Mike is full time, but I think he's full time between selling the balloons and selling baits. So
Okay,
it's like he's in the industry, but he isn't he isn't straight making baits all the time.
fair
You know
enough.
what I mean? Like
See,
I can't speak to how much of his revenue or anything is done through the balloons, but I know he sells a lot of them because I buy them. You know, like
Yep, we all do.
You know, right, exactly. And as far as it goes, his are the best on the market. So anybody that's making baits really is buying his balloons.
for
So,
sure.
I didn't mean to cut your question off. I just wanted to give Michael. I just wanted to.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. We had a lot of fun with Michael, and I've been chatting with him a lot since then. And I definitely don't want to discredit him as okay. If he's the first full-time
Solo bait maker.
industry presence. We'll say bait industry presence in multiple different ways. But thank you, Dennis, for helping me not look like a complete idiot and say you are the first full-time bait maker.
Yeah,
that's all you do, right? That's your
that's
only gig. So back to my question. A lot of us wonder what that would be like. So can you just kind of share some of what your experience has been like going full time into bait making, and what's that done for you and lessons learned?
It is. I would say a couple things. Like if you have people that rely on you, this is not the way to make money to provide for a family, right? Like I am a single guy with a dog. Like, so, well, I'm not single. I have a girlfriend, but she doesn't rely on my money to live. So which is very good. And so that's hard. It's a hard thing because it's very feast and famine, right? Like, as the fishing seasons come around, right? Spring, when people get their tax returns back, you sell a lot of baits. But then through the middle of summer and things start dying down again, right? And so you have to be able to plan far enough ahead to save the money that you've made in the spring and not spend it all on a bunch of stuff because you're going to need it through summer to get by. And then inevitably the fall time comes around and it picks back up for me in the muskie world because generally speaking here, muskie fishing stops in the summertime because the water gets too hot. But then once fall comes back around, muskie fishing starts picking back up and guys start buying baits again. And then there's a lull around Christmas. And, the beginning of school is also a time that slows down a lot because people are buying stuff for their kids to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to be able to plan, I guess, on, like I didn't see it the first year, I was just, I also wasn't popular my first year making baits, like I was selling one or two baits every 2 weeks, so it's like I wasn't selling enough to even notice trends in the sales. But now it's like you can kind of see and plan on how things are going to go. So, it dies down around the beginning of school, but then like say mid-September, October, it picks back up. Then it dies back down around Christmas, but that's fine for me because come Christmas, I am working on pouring baits for shows. So then my springtime, by the time February rolls around, springtime comes and I'm going to different shows and taking, driving to whatever parts of the country and going and doing fishing shows and selling in person. And then I'll come back at the end of those shows with whatever I make and just start the whole year over again. Spring, that's when spring, this year I was particularly blessed because I did one show and the show was slower than I did last year. But I think it was just because it was cold, it was rainy, the economy has not been as great as, people were hoping. So like it was slow around show season this year. So the show didn't go great, but it didn't go bad. But then when I got home, I came home to more orders than I've ever had in my life, and I was busy for 2 months. So like it's just funny how it works out that way. It was like the show season was kind of slow, but my customers made up for it tenfold after getting home. So it's anyway, I guess that is to say it's unpredictable in, you just kind of have to be able to roll with stuff. And I'm doing things now, like I'm thinking about stuff to like kind of make things a little more flat line through the year. That's like, say, doing drops. I don't necessarily want to do drops, but if it makes money that you can kind of count on more regularly, it might be the way to go. I don't know, but that kind of cuts out the custom world, which is something I really enjoy, is doing like custom paint jobs on stuff that I make. So, it's just trying to do, it's figuring it out still. I've been doing this now. In July, it was 4 years now that I've been in business. So you kind of take it a day at a time and just keep working is really the key is, just work. That's another thing. I work in my house, which I'm sure most of you guys, if you're making baits, you're doing it at home. I don't know how to turn off a lot of times because my shop is here at the house. And so I will just get up in the morning, go have my coffee, come down and start working. And next thing I know, it's 11:30 or midnight. And I've been working all day, painting baits, pouring baits. Like, today I poured 40 baits today before coming to do this. And I'm also getting ready. I'm going to be painting when we hang up. So I just don't know how to turn off sometimes. So it takes, I think, kind of a certain person to be able to do this. And, again, not having a family, I don't have other obligations. So I don't, like you guys with kids or whatever, you have things that you have to go do. And I don't. So like the business becomes my life.
That's fair. Yeah. And so, Anthony, I don't think there's any hope for you or I anytime soon to quit our day jobs. Trevor has a cool day job, so he probably doesn't want to quit that. Trevor's also a tattoo artist.
I already quit today.
Oh, you did? Well, is
Taking
that
a
why you asked me
paycheck.
for $12?
This is my 2-week notice.
He quit his job so he could start podcasting.
Yep. I'm so good at it.
Hey, we're in the top 100 bait making podcasts in the world, I'm sure, if there's a list somewhere of the top 100.
I can only think of one other one, so yeah, definitely.
See? Yeah. So
hey, Trevor's a full-time bait maker. Also, kind of. I mean, kinda. You don't work for anybody. You could just spend all day making baits if you wanted.
Well, yeah, like that doesn't really count though, because it's like if I had another business where I was like, like I run my, like, let's say I have like a landscaping company and I do that full time, but I make baits. I'm still a full-time landscaper. I just work for myself.
All right, fine. I think landscaping is the way to go. I've said this before. It seems lucrative.
Construction. Every time you see one of those people on TV that's like building a $5 million home, they're always owning a construction company.
Wish I knew how to
well,
construct.
that just means that they're building a $5 million home for 2.5 because they're
Yeah.
dipping into the company.
Hey, if you got the business, well, hey, I fish my own baits and I don't pay a dime for them other than cost. So
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, it's no, but you're right. Construction and landscaping, they're both, if you get to the big time, they're definitely more lucrative than bait making. But taking a step back, you mentioned the shows and stuff that you go to, and you go to a lot of like big expos and things like that, and like Muskie Max. Even I don't muskie fish, and I've heard of that, right? So it's big shows like that. Can you kind of walk us through that experience as a small business? What is that like when you're going to these big shows where there are probably some other larger names in the business that are, maybe right next to you?
Yeah. So the first time I did Max is a great show for the small time because there's a lot of other small businesses there, like mom and pop guys. And it becomes like it's almost like a show like that because it's a big show, but it's also very tight. You become close with a lot of the other small businesses and like they'll come and they'll, like say because I have my CNC machine, guys will come and talk to me about my process and be like, "Oh, hey, could you do this for me?" And I'm always willing to help. I mean, as I guess if you were to ask around, like anybody that ever comes to me and asks a question, I will do my best to give them as much information about it as possible. Without giving away things like my direct formula because it's not going to help you, right? Like I could tell you exactly how much lead goes into one of my baits, but it doesn't help because it's not your bait. But at a show like that, right? Like, so I don't know if you guys know the company Saddle Tramp Bait Company.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so he and I became real close friends, and he needed like lead molds for his different parts for his baits, and so I machined his lead molds for him and sent them off, and now he's selling those through his company, but he didn't have access to a CNC machine, and I knew how to do it, so I was like, yeah, sure, just buy pay me to make you the mold, and I'll make it. And so it's good. And then every year you look forward to it because this is your one chance a year to go see these people. But I was nervous the first time doing that show. I think every time you do a new show, you're nervous when it's getting ready to open. I've done a bunch of different shows in Massachusetts, and because my brother still lives up there after we went up there, Massachusetts and Pennsylvania, and then here in Virginia. Next year, I want to try and go do the East Tennessee show, which is like one of the biggest shows on the East Coast, and that I'm sure I'll be very nervous before that because that's a huge show. Like you're talking like all the Bass Pros guys are there, and stuff like that. That's a big deal, but yeah, it's you're nervous, but it's at the same time if you make a good product and you know what you're talking about, then it's really easy because you're going to talk to at Muskie Max in 2 days. I probably talked to 5,000 people, and you're telling the same story over and over again a lot of times because everybody's asking similar questions, and you're just answering the same question a bunch of times. But when I was nervous about it, and I remember my mom told me before I was doing the show, I was telling her, I was like, I'm nervous about like how this is going to go. And she's like, nobody knows your product better than you do. She's like, what question could they possibly ask that you don't know the answer to? She's like, you're selling your stuff. Like because I designed everything from scratch. So I do all of my own 2D designs, 3D models. I machine all my own molds. I do everything from scratch, top to bottom. All my own lead molds, everything. It's all done. I do it all here at the house. And so when somebody's asking me about my product, it's like, there isn't another person more qualified to talk about it. So then I was like, that's a good point. And it kind of like settled my nerves because then it's like, we were just talking about what I do. And I mean, it's a similar deal with like this podcast, right? It's like, hey, you guys are going to ask me questions that I know the answers to. So that's why like
you're living them.
Right, exactly. So I'm not nervous about talking about it.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I will say you're one of the first people I reached out to when I first started, and I don't remember what I was asking, but you answered everything. Like between you and Austin from Slept on Swim Baits, it was cool reaching out to people, and they were just so willing to give an answer.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean we're not building, as my boss used to tell me, we're not building submarines, right?
Mhm.
You know, and so there's nothing, there's no top secret anything to what we do. Like some guys make it seem like that, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not that way. And I mean, like at the end of the day, we're making something to go fishing. Fishing is fun. Let's just have
Mhm.
fun. Like,
Yep.
and and that's another thing about like, what I do is like doing it full time is, it's stressful, right? It's stressful dealing with like financial end and trying to keep up with, orders and, making sure everything gets done in a timely manner. But at the end of the day, it's pretty sweet, right? That it's like I make fishing lures and I'm making a living doing it.
Mhm.
Like, so it's like, and I work, I work for myself. It doesn't really matter what you're doing, but if you work for yourself, it's always cooler than working for someone else.
Would you agree, Trev?
100%.
Yeah.
Trevor works for his wife. She's
That's
the
fair.
boss.
She is the boss.
Well,
I
I
mean, at
mean, I
least all
guess there's worse.
All the paychecks go
Much
to the
worse.
same household, maybe. Like that's I don't know. I'm trying to help you out, Trev.
Thank you.
No, that's great. And I've always wondered. I'm a relatively new as far as a bait business goes. I've been making them for a little while, but I've always wondered what it would be like to go to like ICAST or one of these big expos as a vendor to see what would happen.
ICAST is on the
And
list
would
of
I just
things
be
I want to
swallowed?
do. That's on the list of things I want to do. I've never been to ICAST. I don't know whether I just want to go and see what it's like before I go as a vendor, or just book the table and just go do it.
Let's go have at it.
Yeah, because I mean, again, like my mom said, right? It's like, what's the worst that could happen? It's not like, they're not going to boo you out of the building. Like, you just you just go, and and generally speaking, right? Like, even if you make a product that's not excellent in the fishing industry, nobody's going to walk up and tell you that to your face, right? Like they're not going to. They'll come up and talk to you at your booth, and then they'll walk away, and it might be like they might not buy anything or whatever, but it's it's not the kind of, I wouldn't think that they're going to come up and just be like, man, your products are terrible, and they make you feel bad about what you're doing.
No, that's Facebook.
Yeah, so
Oh, no.
it's not real life swim bait universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Won't even get started there.
Wait,
but-
I saw a post on there the other day, and somebody posted a bait, and the first comment was, "Looks like." That was just the comment. Looks like.
So I mean, to be fair, if you make baits that look like, and nobody's telling you that,
I agree. It did look.
I mean, there's a certain level of honesty that is constructive criticism in this world, right? Like, because like I've seen guys, like people come to me and ask me about their baits a lot, right? Like, hey, I made this bait. Tell me what you think. And a lot of times I'll be like, well, looking at it doesn't tell me anything. I don't care how you painted it. I want to see it swimming, because at the end of the day, the swim is more important than any paint job you could ever give a bait, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm like, send me a video of it swimming. And then, I mean, there was a kid, right? And it's like, I was nice to him, but he was, I think he was like 16 years old, and he carved this bait out of wood, and it looked great. But when he sent me a video of it swimming, I said, man, I'm sorry to tell you, but that looks terrible. And I was like, I'm being nice about this. I just want you to know that as it is right now in the water, it looks terrible. Your paint job looks great. Your finish looks great, but the swim is awful. But here's what I would do to try and fix it.
Right.
Try that and come back to me and see what happens. Because it's
Well,
like,
that's a little nicer than just looks like shit.
sure. Well, yeah, but some of these guys are also not qualified to give opinions
That's
on
true.
how things swim, or they don't have the knowledge to help someone make it swim better, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm going to tell you it doesn't look good, I'm also going to tell you how you should try to fix it. And then also, hey, make another one, come back to me when it's done, send me a video of it swimming, and I'll tell you honestly what I think of that one. That's how you're going to get better, is having people who tell you, because my buddy Lewis is one of the best muskie fishermen I know, right? He he can catch more muskies than anyone I've ever known in my life. And I met him randomly one day when I was out doing a swim test down at the river. He was getting ready to go fishing. I noticed some muskie baits in his boat. I said hi. We've been friends ever since. And he was giving me early critique on my glide baits because I had never made one. And when I would send him videos, he did the same thing to me. He's like, "That looks awful. It's like a muskie. There's no way a muskie's gonna eat that." And I'm like, "Okay, what is the goal? Like, what am I trying to do? Because if I don't know what I'm trying to do, I can't aim towards it."
Mhm.
And he gave me pointers on. He didn't know what to do to fix it because he's not a bait maker, but well, he is now, but he wasn't then. And he didn't know how to fix it, but he had fished really high quality baits. He like pulled out some of his really nice baits and was like, "This is what it should do." And so he showed me
That's
in the
helpful,
water.
too.
Yeah, with his like super high dollar baits, he's showing me like how it swims in the water. Was like, "This is what I want it to look like if you can do that." And so, I didn't sleep until I could get it right. And it was, I mean, if you try, and it generally speaking, it comes like making these baits comes down to two things, and that's buoyancy and counterweight, like your ballast weight. Like where your ballast is matters, and how much buoyancy your bait has matters. Other than that, like shape matters a little bit, not nearly as much as the other two things. Like it's the shape is very, very secondary to how much buoyancy your bait has and how much lead or whatever you use for ballast weight. How that and like getting the swim perfected on my pickpockets, right? It's like an eighth of an inch shift made all the difference in the world in how it swam. Like I had it set because I do everything, like I said, I design it all on my computer, so like I can place everything how it fits with my molds. And I just had to shift that lead forward like an eighth of an inch, and because I was having an issue with like the nose coming up when I would twitch it, right? It'd be swimming, but the nose would want to come up, and so just by shifting that lead forward an eighth of an inch, it started swimming right. And it just comes down to being able to tweak things like that.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how much of just a tiny modification will completely make or break a bait. It's
Yeah.
Mhm. That's usually me with Hunlores with Victor. I'm like, it's doing this, and he's like, "Well, let me see. Where are you putting the lead?" And then I tell him, he's like, "No, put it here and here," and then it works. And I'm like, "God damn, you genius!"
I've talked to him a lot too.
Yeah, super smart.
Victor was our first guest ever on the Bait Boys podcast.
Yeah.
It's still a great episode. We'll have to have him back before too long. I'm ready to have my mind blown again.
Yeah, seriously.
Speaking of people reaching out to you, you like that segue? I try to do at least a little bit of research on all of our guests before they come on, if I'm not already familiar with them. I spent some time in your Instagram today, and you seem to have the same opinion that the three of us have whenever it comes to people reaching out for free baits.
Yeah, I have like a whole hashtag about that. Hashtag no free baits.
Yes,
SpongeBob.
you are.
Yeah.
Yep, I love that. Can I have a free bait?
Yeah.
So the question I have, and obviously we're all anti-mooch, but can imagine me as a very small time bait maker. I get very frequent requests for this. I know these guys get even more than I do. I want to know, and so I can imagine how many. I probably can't imagine how many you get. It's probably an insane number, especially based on how vocal you've been with your opinions about it, which I love, by the way. So I'm not to ask you about your opinion. I want to know, what is the most creative DM that you have received from somebody asking for a free bait? Like, what's the craziest, like, what's the most over the top story you've been fed, or what just sticks out in your mind?
I mean, just one that I got recently this year. It was I got like, I'm used to, as I'm sure you guys are, it is 98% TikTok stars, right? Like I will make you a video of your bait swimming and everybody's going to flock to your page and buy your baits. I know it. like that's the same story we all hear from these kids, right? It's always like, I'm gonna make you a video and we'll talk about it on my YouTube channel, and these people are gonna buy baits. But I had a guy message me who was a father of two young boys that he was getting into fishing this year. And he messaged me and was like, trying to get my kids into nicer gear and like show them what it means to support smaller businesses like this. So if you could send me a couple baits to show them what good quality gear is, then, and I was like, are you even, like, I didn't even respond to the guy because I was like, I didn't know what to say. Sometimes I get kind of snarky with like the kids, like when they message me or whatever, but it was like, I didn't even know what to say because this was a man. Like I can be a little like, I could be like a smart ass a little bit to like a 16-year-old kid that, you can kind of give them a little bit like, or just like, hey man, what, like, how did you think this was going to go? Right. But like, because this was a man, I had to like restrain myself because I was like going to be like, you just said that you want to show these kids what it means to support small businesses, and you're asking me to send you stuff for free and what was also crazy to me is this guy is an artist. He's an artist who sells his art. And so I'm like this, your full-time job is you make art and you sell it. Yet you're here asking me to do something for you for free. And it's like, it's like, did I DM you and like, hey, I really want to get my kids into art and I want to show them what good art is. So can you I want you to work for hours and hours on something and then send it to me for free so I can show my children. And so it was one of those things, like I said, I had to not even say anything to him because nothing would have been nice. And it was everything I could do to not just screenshot it with his screen name and everything and just post it in my stories and be like, get a load of this guy. I try to be non-confrontational as much as possible. So I don't like blow up people like with their names on my stories or whatever. Cause it's like, I don't want to do that. And, and like, I don't understand, where are these kids' parents? You know what I mean? Granted, the internet didn't exist in almost any capacity until I was like in high school. But like when I was that age, my dad would have beaten me within an inch of my life if I was out asking someone for something for free. Like we didn't have money, but it was like you still worked for it. Like you worked for whatever you had. Like we used to have to go, rake yards and, cut grass and all kind of stuff. He always had us working with him doing stuff, but you never asked for anything for free. And so every time this kid asks, I'm like, where are your parents telling you that this is not cool? Or another one. I had just while we're on it, I had another kid, I think it was last year, right, message me and ask for some free stuff, right? And I went on to his Instagram because I was like, who is this kid? Like, I always look into who these people are, who's asking me for free stuff. So I click on this thing, and this kid, he plays hockey for a prep school in New Hampshire, right? And I was like, well, I'm just curious, how much is tuition to this school that he goes to school at? $240,000 a year. This kid his parents pay for him to play hockey at this prep school in New Hampshire. And they own like $1 million offshore fishing boat or more. It was more than that. Probably. It was probably $2 or $3 million offshore fishing boat. And I'm like,
wow,
like, just go ask your dad. He could fund my company for a year. Like,
and not even notice.
And I'm like, it's crazy that you would ask for, and it's crazy that it's like, it's not just people with nothing. It's people who have everything and have never had to pay anything for it. So it's the whole spectrum of people come to you looking for stuff. But also, while we're on it, it's like, I don't want to make it sound like I don't send out free bait, because I do. Every year, like there's different charities and people that get in touch with me about sending out a bait for whatever they're raising money for. Like, for instance, Bill Wetzel, he's a surf casting legend in New York. He lives on Long Island. He does this thing where he gets all these donations and she raffles them all off, and they give the money to Kids Need More. Right, every year he does this, and every year since I've started, I've sent him baits through the evolution of my baits. Like the first ones were terrible, but I sent them to him anyway. And now, and then I just sent him like 10 for this year's. And then I don't know if you guys know Brent Hashimoto from Hashimoto Concepts.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Not personally, but yes, I know who you're talking about.
okay, well he's the other bait making podcast that I was thinking of. He hasn't done it in a while, but it's called Made to Cast. But I was on it, and then a guy heard me on his show that was raising money for like a children's cancer hospital in Canada. I'm like, absolutely. Like I pack up the bait and send it to him. So it's like, depending on what you're doing with the bait, I don't mind sending out the product. It's just like, if it's going to something that's a good cause, like I will totally donate my work to something like that. So it's just like, but it's every bait maker, and it's not just bait makers, because I get tons of other people that make stuff. These TikTok stars are in every genre of creation. It's like, it's not just fishing, it's everything. So if you make stuff, there's a TikTok kid out there that wants it for free to promote it on his TikTok. I was so excited when they talked about banning TikTok in the United States. And I was so happy that this was going to come to fruition. And then it happened for less than 24 hours. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was pumped for weeks about this.
An entire generation lost their mind for that 24 hours. It was
I know.
kind of sad.
I lost my mind when they decided to let them have it, because I was just like, damn it.
And it only stopped working if you like deleted the app. You could still use it. It was just the strangest show. Like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So we've got a. What are you eating right now, Anthony? We're in the middle of a podcast. What are you doing? I can see that.
I'm eating my boat snacks. You don't know about boat snacks?
Apparently I don't. Why don't you tell me
Dude.
about boat snacks, Anthony?
Should I finish chewing first?
That might be a good idea.
Let me tell you a little bit about boat snacks. This is 20 grams of protein with 50% less sodium and no nitrates. You don't know about boat snacks?
I know a little more about boat snacks now, but why don't you tell me more?
This is jerkbait.
Jerkbait.
Jerkbait
Creative.
from Boat Snacks. And they were nice enough to sponsor us for this episode. And we're going to be giving away a 5-pack of these, thanks to Boat Snacks.
You got us a real sponsor?
I got us a real sponsor, guys. And you can have your own boat snacks. Beef jerky bites. They're bite-sized pieces. And they're delicious. And they're going to have new flavors coming out soon. How's that, Jesse? You going to beat me this week?
No. The beatings will stop until you resume your previous behavior. But
all right,
no, that's
that'll
exciting.
be next week. Yeah. So, in all seriousness, you should talk because I'm still chewing.
So, from what I understand, Boat Snacks is giving away a 5-pack of their Boat Snacks jerkbait, high-quality beef jerky, low sodium, no nitrates, to one of our viewers. And in order to win that 5-pack of delicious Boat Snacks, all you have to do is go to the pinned post on the Bait Boys Instagram. It'll be a collaboration post with Boat Snacks, and tag as many people as you want. And I would suggest you tag everybody that you can think of, because each tag counts as one entry towards the giveaway. And the only other rule for this one is you got to be following both at Bait Boys Podcast and at Boat Snacks with a Z. Will you hold up the pack one more time, Anthony, just so people can get the right spelling?
Sorry, dude, I'm still eating.
Boat Snacks.
I actually got a 5-pack of these, and I knew this. I had to save this for this episode, and I ate the other 4 packs, and then I've had to hold on to this for the last 3 days, because I'm like, well, I can't eat it. I need it for the episode. So it's nice to be able to finally eat it. But it is really good.
In the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also have a discount code. If
Yeah,
you're
we
not
do.
able to win the boat snacks, or if you want to try them before the giveaway, we have a 10% off discount code BaitBoys10. Let me say that again without hitting puberty mid-sentence. BaitBoys10, all one word. If you use that promo code at checkout, then you can get 10% off of your order. And we'll leave links to that and everything else in the description below.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Boat Snacks. The guy's super nice, too. He's actually really cool.
Good. And
Thanks, man.
he didn't hang up on you immediately, so he's got to have some patience, too, from what I understand. But good job,
He didn't.
Anthony. Oh, he didn't?
Thanks.
Oh, he didn't hang up on
Oh,
you.
I wanted to mention one thing. Drop a comment below. What's your favorite flavor for beef jerky? Because this is how I actually started talking to him. He asked what flavor beef jerky I like, because he's, asking his followers what their favorite beef jerky is. So when he puts out new flavors, and I told him mango habanero. So drop a comment below and give him some suggestions on what flavors you like. What flavor do you like, Jesse?
I'm like a hickory smoke fan whenever it comes to, like, I like the traditional, like, just smoky flavor.
I like some heat. Trevor?
I like black pepper.
Black pepper?
Black pepper.
Yeah.
Dennis?
Let's see. I was just at a Buc-ee's recently, and I got some goat chili jerky from there, and so it was real good. So yeah, I like the name on that too. Jerkbait. It's clever,
right? So I make a crankbait. I like a nice kick in my beef jerky.
Yeah, and like you think about like how it could go, right? You could do jerk baits and glide baits and crankbaits and whatever.
Hey, I told him I'm gonna make a beef jerky lure. I'm gonna take one of these and 3D scan it and design a lure. Also, don't eat this thing.
Did you find that out the hard way?
Throw it in your micro balloon.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's smart.
I buy them off of Amazon and store them in my micro balloons to keep the moisture out of them.
So bonus to every bait maker, it comes with the little white pack. You don't eat it. You put it in your micro balloons and keeps them dry. Even better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you again to Boat Snacks for sponsoring this episode. Again, don't forget to go to the Bait Boys Instagram or the Boat Snacks Instagram. It'll be a collaboration post, and tag as many people as you feel like tagging. Every tag is an entry into the giveaway. But yeah, thank you again to Boat Snacks. Buc-ee's has some solid jerky, Dennis, but I don't think it's quite as good as Boat Snacks.
Yeah,
I got a Buc-ee's near me.
I'm sure it's not. I'm gonna be using y'all's promo code at the end of this episode, ordering some.
Me too.
Well, we appreciate that. Yeah,
this is my last bag now.
No, that's awesome. Again, thank you, Boat Snacks. But back to our guest, Dennis. Thank you for sticking with us through that. I'm still mind blown that Anthony found us a real sponsor for the first time ever. This is a whole turning point, and it only took us 13 episodes. Actually, that's not too bad, Anthony. So congratulations. Good job.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you. For now.
It. Thanks, Dad.
But Dennis, I got a couple more questions for you here. And these are more fun. These are more just one of these questions we've asked pretty much everybody that's come on the show. And then we have a new one that we're going to start asking, but you're the first that gets to answer it. But the first question that we've asked pretty much everybody is, what is your favorite lure of all time and why? And it can be one of yours, but that's no fun, as I always say. Or it can be, mass produced or another maker, or what do you feel like is the best bait of all time?
I was thinking about it earlier because I've listened to you guys, and I was trying to decide what it was that I was gonna answer, and I got to go with one that I grew up with. It's a classic striper lure and everything. Really, it is the jointed cotton cordell redfin.
Okay, yeah.
Specifically in the blue and silver. It is.
I don't know what that is.
So I mentioned my dad was a striper guide as a kid. And so I grew up fishing redfins, from the time I could first cast a bait caster. And I learned to cast a bait caster, I think, when I was like 8. So the cotton cordell redfin is, I think, the best lure ever made, because you can fish anything with them.
I wish I knew what it was.
One of those.
You'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I know.
As a matter of fact, had one. I don't think I have one hanging out here anymore. I've got like my first lure I ever made was this one right here, and
That thing is awesome.
that's a chunk of a hockey stick that I cut and painted. I think I was 10 when I made that.
Nice.
And so I guess you could say I've been making baits for a long time, right?
Yeah,
We've come
definitely.
we've come a long way because like now we're at things like this.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Is
I'd
that
say
12,
you've
12
advanced.
inches? 16?
16.
Dude, the shark? Oh my god.
16 inches, 23 and a half ounces.
Almost 2 pounds. Jeez.
That is awesome.
That's what you got to throw to catch the big muskie, right? The 50 inchers?
Honestly, no.
No, I didn't probably catch him on a spinnerbait or something.
This was the one I got my 53 on, which is another one of mine. But that's a
That's a
7 inch.
reasonably sized bait.
Yeah, a 7 inch,
Very reasonable.
7 inch swim bait. That's the one I got my 53 on, and it just mangled the hooks.
Oh, flattened them.
Yeah.
So
Looks
Hey,
like the
it stayed pinned, it looked
Arkansas
like.
Wiggler.
yeah, that's a 4X saltwater hook, and it just mangled it. I think it
Jeez.
happened when she was in the net, though.
Well.
But
Darn it.
yeah,
Just got hooked up. No, that's a solid answer. Solid answer.
yeah,
With
the
the,
cotton cordell
cotton
redfin
cordell.
is, it's just a classic.
Yeah, and it's been around forever.
Yeah, they've
And
been
still, yeah.
They
It's
used
like you
to.
see.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I
The
was going to
delays
say
kill.
the saltwater guys used to take and drill holes in them, the straight ones, like not the jointed back ones, but just the straight ones. They would take and drill holes in the bottom and fill them with mercury. They would break their like those the old thermometers that had mercury in them, and they would fill their baits with mercury because it's so much more dense than lead. And they would fill it with mercury and then plug the hole back, and it would make it weigh like 5 times what it did before, and they could cast it a mile with the mercury in it.
I just looked it up. I had to see what it was.
Okay.
It's like a crankbait with the joint all the way towards the back, kinda.
Yeah, yeah.
They also used to put uranium in lures, so I mean,
I hadn't heard that one.
yeah, that's what made them glow.
Oh,
What was it? The glow something. I don't know, but it had actual radioactive material in it.
I mean, I totally believe it. There was uranium in like your dinnerware and stuff before World War II.
Yeah. But we would not advise anybody drilling into their baits and dumping mercury into them. Because
That's not a thing you do today.
Yeah, that could cause a problem for you and everyone else.
Right.
So let's not do that. Stick to tungsten or lead. Lead's not great for you, but it's better than mercury
Right. Considerably.
or uranium. Yeah,
Or
neither.
uranium.
Yeah,
Dude, I chew that stuff,
I can tell.
and I'm
You probably
fine.
chewed on. Do you eat paint chips as a kid too?
Only uranium glass paint chips.
And that's why we love you, Anthony. That's why. Anyway. Next question. So this is the first time. So no matter how much homework you've done, you can't be prepared for this question.
I'm ready.
But it's nothing major. We just want to know what's an interesting non-fishing related fact about you that your followers would never guess.
I studied graphic design in college. I have a
Yeah.
college degree in graphic design.
Nice. I definitely wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought machining
And
or
also-
something.
And fine art for that matter. Like I have 2, so I have a fine art degree and a graphic design degree. So yeah, I like to do like actual fine art when I'm not making baits.
I think you do it
Like
both.
the drawing and yeah. Well, yeah, you can do both at the same time. And I've seen some of your work. I would classify it as fine art, especially in the bait world.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I just really love drawing, and I do like photorealism drawing and stuff.
That's insane. I don't know how people do that.
And, it's one of those things. You hear a lot that like you're talented, right? And it's like I don't believe in talent. I believe in skill, because I wasn't born knowing how to do any of this. It's like I just spent lots of time alone learning. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, You know, I mean, now there are people, I guess, who are talented, like, you know, the kids that can play piano when they're 3, but, you know, I wasn't that way. I've had to learn how to do all of it.
Yeah.
I'm still trying.
I think we all are.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, great.
and I mean, I am, right? It's like as much work as I put into things, I'm always doing new stuff. You know, like, and there's always a demand for other things in the bait world, right? So it's like I've got, I don't know, 5 different models of baits, but then I have like 5 sizes of most of those baits in each model. So like working on getting all the weight and stuff on those is tricky, but like there's people want a weight, like I'll make a wake bait. Like that's on the docket is going to be a 3, like one of my good customers wants like a 3-piece version of the pickpocket. So he wants me to put another joint in here and make a wake bait version of the pickpocket. So that's like on deck. And apparently I've heard that there's not enough good bluegill glides on the market. So like I'm gonna make a bluegill style one. So yeah, I mean I'm always working on things, you know, just, you know, what's next, right? I haven't designed a new bait in a while, but it's gonna be, I think it's on deck soon, because I'm not that I get bored with what I'm doing, but it's, you know, at the same time, you know, it's always fun to come out with something new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part, is designing something new. That's why I never stick to what I've already done for very long.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then like I designed stuff that it's like, you know, like I've got like my prop bait, right? And so it's, but like this is a musky sized one, right? But like a lot of bass guys are like, hey, can you make a smaller version? Because this one's 9.5 inches and 6 ounces, right? So
Come
like,
on. Tell them to man up. I went bass fishing with it.
sure, like, okay, yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, right. It's like I understand. I understand that there are guys that do it, but generally speaking, you know, like, you know, that's what I mean. Guys tell me that they don't have a rod that's capable of throwing this, and I'm like, go get one. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
you know, but
Go buy one, peasant.
the right. Well, and I won't. I can't even speak to that, because like in this industry, right? Like people, I hear, you know, and I'm sure you guys hear a lot too, is like, I can't afford to throw your stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
and I hear it all the time. Like, how much do your baits cost? I give them the price list, and they're like, hey, they look great, but I just can't afford it. And the truth of it is if I didn't make them, I couldn't afford to throw them either, right? Like
Same.
you know, I couldn't afford to throw any of my stuff if I didn't make it. And I'm blessed to have like a collection of baits that I've traded for from a bunch of different bait makers that I throw sometimes, but I'm not willing to lose them generally. So I just have a collection. But yeah, it's one of those things, like I don't even, I've kind of lost where I was going with that, but that you said buy one, peasant. That's what it was.
Yeah, I was kidding. By the way, I was
Yeah,
just joking.
right.
I am a peasant as well.
I know that. But like, I also have traded like baits for like custom rods. And so like the rod that I throw that big mega glide bait on is one that I traded a guy baits for, because he makes custom rods and I make baits, and he was willing to take payment for a custom rod on baits. And so,
Nice.
you know, he was somebody that, you know, he's got a bunch of my baits because I have a bunch of his rods. And so I have a bunch of different, you know, nice custom rods because I was able to trade for them. But otherwise, I wouldn't be able to afford to do it. So just really, I couldn't throw my own baits if it wasn't for trading for the rod that I throw that bait on.
Yeah, we've joked about it before. It's like we got into it because we saw how much like these big glide baits were costing, and it was like, man, it's got to be cheaper to make it myself. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a whole bunch of tools and shop space and materials and everything later. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we thought it would be cheaper, but it's not.
If I had to hazard a guess into how much it cost me to start my business to like where I'm at now, like not just like a small time, but like if I had to buy all of the tools and materials and everything I have to go be where I'm at right now, I would guess it probably cost in the $40,000 to $50,000 range.
That's
Would
a
be
lot of
like,
glide baits you could have bought.
right, and a lot of time and effort, and you know, like there's like it really is like, just buy the bait, just buy it. I promise.
Yeah, but it's not near as fun.
No, it's not.
Come
And
on.
and like I said, I love what I do. I love the opportunity to do things like this podcast and talk about, my business, and it it's been very rewarding. It's one of those things, and like if there's one thing that I and you guys being bait makers know, but if there are people that are not bait makers that are listening, send your bait makers catch photos. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like
Please.
I don't care. Like, I don't care what it is. If you caught a half-pound walleye on your glide, I want to see it. Like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
like I don't care what it is. Like, it doesn't have to be your personal best. It doesn't have to be a tank. I don't care. Whatever it is, send me a picture of my bait hanging in a fish's mouth, and I am pumped for the day. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I just found out on Facebook that one of my customers caught a giant striper on one of my baits and didn't even tell me about it.
Oh,
Like, I
he's
saw the
not.
photo.
He's fired.
I saw the photo posted in Swimbait Universe. and one of my other customers commented and said, "Didn't you catch that on one of Dennis Perko's lures?" And he said, "Yes, I did." I'm like, "Why didn't I hear about this?" So,
Yes.
So
Send catch pictures.
send
Everybody,
catch photos.
send catch pictures.
It is really like the most rewarding thing beyond buying the bait. Like, I love the money, but the catch photos is a close second.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing the story, like if it's like just any type of people are so enthusiastic when they tell you like how they got the catch, and that's awesome. We love it.
Yeah, I love
I
the
agree.
whole thing. Yeah, talking to the customers is one of the best things, and that's one of the things I love about shows. Right? It's like you go back the next year and you get to talk to people that bought the bait the previous year, and you get to they tell you the story about how they caught their muskie or whatever it is on your bait, and it's like, man, and sometimes these are older guys that just don't have social media, so you don't hear about it until it's in person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's awesome regardless. I just love talking to the guys about stuff.
Well, Dennis, is there anything else that you got coming up in the near future that our followers should be on the lookout for?
No, I mean, a giveaway, I suppose. Once I hit 3,000, I'm going to be giving a custom bait other than the mega, any other bait you want. Those megas are expensive to make, so I'm not giving one of them away for the Instagram follower count. But any other bait you want, I'll custom make it, custom paint it when I hit 3,000. So I'm doing that, and then
That's awesome.
And then at the end of the month, I'm going mahi fishing and bluefin tuna fishing. Going to be taking my bait, so we're going to be hopefully landing a bluefin on one of my glides, because that would be bucket list material.
That would be sick.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see.
Awesome.
At the end of the month, I'm taking my tattoo artist buddy and a buddy of mine from Florida, and we're going out off of Jersey.
That'll be cool.
Trevor, how come I don't ever take my tattoo artist buddy out for freaking saltwater fishing or anything like that?
Yeah.
Actually, we've been fishing. I take you out to
You've taken me
Beltsville.
fishing.
I take you out to the local lakes here.
Hey,
That's all right.
This is one of those things, like, I've only been tuna fishing one other time in my life, and that was when I was in college. So it's one of those things, like, you don't get to do it often, and this opportunity came up. So it's just one of those things, like, and like, I don't care. Like, I would love to catch one on my bait, but if I don't, like, if I just catch one at all, I'll be pumped.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna try. We're gonna try and get it done.
It'd be cooler on your bait.
Sure. I mean, I want to prove that my baits can catch a tuna, can land a tuna. It's like I suspect it, but I can't prove it until it's been done. But if you guys have seen the video of Mike from Sackpig trying to break one of my baits with his golf cart,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I believe it's possible. It took 292 pounds of direct pull to pull the joint apart on one of my baits, and the hook hanger was still in it. Yeah, it would take a serious force.
Yeah, that's quite the bluefin that would have you'd have to have in order to peak that
Yeah.
poundage. But great. Well, Dennis, thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. Welcome back anytime. Definitely would love to have you back sometime. We'll leave links to all of Dennis's social media, everything in the description below. Make sure you go follow him. Make sure you are watching out for that giveaway once he gets to 3,000. Who knows? Maybe this podcast can help push you over that 3,000 mark.
I hope I'm 71 away.
Well, we'll take
You're
credit
gonna
for
have it by then.
regardless. Yeah, you'll have it by then. This will be a week a week and a bit before it goes out, but you're right there. But anyway, just keep an eye on Perko Lures to make sure that you're up to date with everything that Dennis is doing, especially if you're in the muskie world. There's not a lot better out there than Perko Lures. So thank you again, Dennis. We really appreciate it. Now I want to shift gears, and Dennis, you're going to go first, but this is the point in the show where everybody, we're not done with you yet. Don't worry. We're just done with the questions, where everybody kind of goes around the room and talks about what are you working on right this minute. So Dennis, what do you got going on? I mean, obviously you're on a podcast right this minute, but outside of that.
Well, outside of that, I mean, I was pouring, like I mentioned earlier, I poured 40 baits today. So like I've got a batch of 7-inch glides that I'm working on. I'm redesigning the glide. Like it's little things that like kind of bother me as I go on, but there's like a spot in my mold that catches an air bubble. So like I have to fix it on almost every bait. Just it's a tiny little 16th inch air bubble. But it drives me nuts to have to fix it on every one of them. So I'm changing my 3D model and remachining all of my molds, which is like 20 different molds that I have to remachine.
Oh my God.
But it's going to be worth it in the long run because like I won't have to go through and do cosmetic work on every bait. Outside of that, I have custom orders that I'm working on. I've got, it looks like about 15 of them that I painted today that need to get clear coat. It's just baits and baits and baits. It's kind of is all day, every day.
Right on. Well, Trevor, what are you up to?
A whole bunch of stuff. So I got some custom paint work I have to do, but on top of that, I'm doing a lot of prepping for something big coming in September. No disclosure yet, but we are super close to dropping the bomb on exactly what.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Like we don't know what it is, but
I don't know what it is.
We're pretending for the audience.
You guys know, but I have no idea what's going on.
Well, you're going to have to wait.
Well, I'll fill you in
Till
after.
September. Anthony, what about you? What do you got going on? You're always doing something crazy.
Today, I am printing the nutlet mold, the nut runner, but the mini version. We're going to call it the nutlet. Yeah, that's about the most important thing today. I don't know. There's 3D printers running over here next to me, just doing other stuff, and one in the other room. But that's the thing I'm most excited about. It's going to be 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches.
Yeah, cool. I'm excited to see the nutlet, and I think that's a perfect name for it.
And a perfect size, 3.5 inches. You couldn't want any more for my wife. Never mind. What are you working on, Jesse?
My 3D printer is also running, trying to print the first masters for the mini glide that I designed and am going to start prototyping and testing. 2 of my first 3 attempts failed, so some wasted resin in the trash can.
Yep.
Gotta love it. I was messaging Anthony earlier today about bottom exposure, and if you don't know 3D printing, that sounds pretty bad, but he's an expert in bottom exposure.
Boys, I don't have pants on right now.
Other than that, I'm happy to report that the Subject 13 rat is on its way to its forever home now. From my last YouTube video, the bait that I poured 2 weeks of my life into is going to a very good home. It's on its way right now up to Wisconsin, so I'm excited for that to arrive, and I've been promised a big muskie on it, so we'll see.
I was going to say, so
I'm not doubting. I know how hard that is to do. Yeah.
He messaged me because I shared your post or shared to my story. He messaged me thinking it was mine, and I told him it was yours. So then when he said he ended up getting it the next day, I was like, are you going to fish it? And that's what he said. He said he's taking it to a dam with some big muskie. And I was like, that's pretty cool that he's actually going to go and use it, because imagine that thing hanging from a muskie's mouth. Subject 13.
I would be ecstatic. I would be ecstatic about it.
Well, bring him down or over or wherever. Bring him to Virginia.
Yeah, I think he's in Wisconsin, so that might be a little bit of a trip. But
no, I mean, you guys bring your baits. Let's go muskie fishing.
All right.
Yeah. I've only got the one because it's.
I'm taking you up on
now,
that.
but yeah, The bait boys go to Virginia. Let's do it.
There
I'll
you
meet
go.
you guys over there. That'll be a fun extra episode. But yeah, no, I was super excited. I thought that rat was going to sit there for weeks, so much to the point that it's a whole series thing that I'm doing on my YouTube channel called Freek Files, and it's like the bait has a backstory and a lore, and like it's weird, but I enjoy it. And I just wanted to make the most elaborate rat bait that I could possibly make. Just put, like, it didn't matter how much time it took. I was making the absolute craziest, coolest rat bait that I could possibly imagine personally, and that I was capable of doing. I expected it, and I did not. I won't name prices. You can probably go look it up. It's still on the website. It's sold out, but I charged a lot for it because I put a lot into it. Had I charged what I probably should have for it, it would have been twice as much, but I had to dial it back. And so I expected it to sit there for a long time. It sat there for 2 hours and was gone. So
that's always
that's
a great feeling.
Yeah, and it's going to a good home, somebody that's going to use it, and that's what it's built for. And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it'll stand up to a muskie.
Yeah, that's something. Like I always, like, when people say they buy them as like showpieces or like they're gonna hang it on a wall. I do that. I do a lot of that, but it's always cooler that someone's gonna fish it and beat the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Like I want real feedback. Not what your kids think about it sitting on the mantle.
Yeah, because while I did put a lot of work into how it looked, I definitely built it to be fished. That's how I do all of them. So yeah, that was cool.
Hell yeah.
But, yeah. And then other than that, right now I've got the base coat on the flathead catfish custom order that I carved for somebody's 75th birthday. It's going to have some custom lettering on it and stuff. So it's
nice.
Yeah, that's about it.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, are we there? Are we there yet? I think we've reached the final segment, which is our question of the week. If you have a question of the week that you would like answered on a future episode of the Bait Boys podcast, I was doing so good. Don't forget to leave that in the comments below, and there's a good chance that we will answer it in a future episode. But this week's question of the week comes from one of our winners from earlier, RP Custom Lures.
Nice.
I think that was the first one, right? Won Trev's bait. Yeah, won the summit. But yeah, RP Custom Lures asks, do you think the hype around big resin or wooden baits is starting to fade, or have they just become the normal go-to for more anglers? Figured this would be a good question for this episode specifically, because we're talking big baits.
The hype, it's one of those things that I feel like I've been doing this for a while, but at the same time, like, I haven't been in this game long enough to. I think the hype was really before I even started making bait. Was the real hype in glides and things was before I even got into it. But maybe a little bit of like that shine is wearing off in the world. But I think I personally believe that we're continuing down the path of moving away from like the big box stores and the big companies, and we're going more towards like the small time custom guys. Just generally, I don't know how long the trend will continue, because there's always going to be a place for like the big guys to make baits that don't cost much. And I say not much. I mean, I talk about not much, but like a $20 bait, right? It's like there's always going to be a place in the world for those guys. So I don't want to say that the hype is going down. I think it's just becoming more normal, right? And also like there's so many of us out there these days, the small time bait makers, that your options. There's so many options, and you're inundated on social media by different bait makers and things. So I think it's just become much more normal. Also, with social media being so huge now, and they're getting so much more effective at like targeting their audience with things. Back in the day, like if you wanted to find like a good quality, handmade glide bait, it was probably hard to do because you had to find a Facebook group, and then you had to track down the guy that made it, and then you had to try and message him, but he was like, I don't check my AOL Messenger very often. You probably had a much harder time getting a hold of people like us. And now these days it's become so accessible that it's becoming it seems like everyone's doing it because it is easy. So I don't want to say that the hype is going down. I think it's just becoming more normal.
I agree.
I could see that.
It seems I'm the same way. Like, I didn't get into this back when swim baits were like probably at their prime, you know, like kind of like the culture was at its like peak, and it was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like more cool and behind the scenes,
The
you know,
cutting
like,
edge.
yeah, like I feel like that's gone. And there's a lot of old school, like people who were into handmade baits that really are probably upset that that's gone. But now it's just so accessible for anybody to go online and watch some videos from, you know, Engineered Angler or all these bait makers on YouTube and Instagram or network, and you could get into it and it's much easier, you know?
Mhm.
So I would say the hype to it is gone, but it's growing at the same time.
Yeah,
That's
the concept itself is growing. Like its presence is growing, but the hype, the new shininess. Yeah, I get what you're saying. What do you think, Trevor?
I think it's there, some, but I can agree with what's being said. You know, today everybody has access to the internet and everything, so everything is just spread out much more versus it was 5-10 years ago. So I absolutely think it's still there. Maybe not as much, but why not?
I feel like of all the people, you are probably more familiar with like how the scene was years ago. Like, were you? No, you weren't into throwing swim baits like years ago.
My
Yeah.
wife might
See,
be
like
watching this and stuff, so
but they were all
There's got to be
free
a
at.
statute of limitations, right?
They were all free at the
Right?
time. You won them.
Back
You
when they
won them
cost
in
$1
giveaways.
each, right?
always.
Yeah.
Yeah, always.
But it was more of like a cool like skater scene, you know, like you're going out and throwing handmade resin glides or a wooden carved bait, and now that's like it's allure and its coolness is gone, but it's still cool in a different way.
I also think like the quality is going up. Like
Mhm.
with the advent of 3D printers and for me like a home CNC machine, like because like 10 years ago you couldn't buy a desktop CNC router. Like they didn't have that. You had to go to a machine shop to have things done, and they would have never taken on a project like this. And then same thing with you guys having your 3D printers. The technology is driving the industry with
Mhm.
everything. I mean, it's always going to be the way it is. And so like for me, like me personally, like I'm trying to figure out what's next in like the technology world that I can bring into what I'm doing to make it like stay on that next level. Because you like I'm gonna probably skip 3D printing, like because I don't need it for what I do. But
Mhm.
I think that it's I guess to bring this to where the question is I think that the hype part of the hype is because of this technology that we have now. We have access to an amazing amount of things that we didn't have this stuff as kids. But kids are growing up these days learning how to like use 3D printers. I know that because my mom taught fourth grade until she retired, and they had a class on how to run 3D printers at school, like for fourth graders. And these kids knew how to do the stuff already because like their parents have bought 3D printers and they're running them at home. So it's like it's not going to be just the fishing industry. It's going to be lots of things that are going to be driven by the different types of technology as 3D printers get better. Now, if a 3D printer gets, I think, much nicer, I might, look into getting one. But for me, right now, I can't CNC machining for the quality of stuff. So it's, I think the hype is going to continue to stay kind of like it's kind of maybe faded right now because of the 3D printing aspect is kind of getting, again, it's like everybody's got them and everybody's got access to this technology. But once something new comes and somebody figures out how to use it in the bait making world, there's going to be a resurgence in that hype. It's going to be,
Mhm.
pumped right back up again.
Yeah. I think that it's kind of it's past its hipster phase, as I would call it. So it's not like a I liked it before it was cool thing anymore. So it's a little more to the masses, and more people are familiar with the big glide baits. Whether they big baits in general, whether they be resin or wood or whatever. I think that shiny newness has definitely worn off at this point in time. But I think that it's it's plateaued. It's not really. I don't think it's faded. I think it's just kind of like it's reached its where it's going to be and as far as it's going to go until, like you said, Dennis, that next new thing comes along, or that next new technology to take it up another level comes along. I think that the more people you have out there fishing big baits, the more people you have out there are going to be catching big fish on big baits. And that, as we all know, that's all it takes to get the entire community almost latched onto this one thing. So I think as long as they're always, as they keep catching big fish and the right people keep posting the pictures of those big catches, I don't think they're really going anywhere. But you're all right, and I think we're all in agreement that like it's not that strange, almost unattainable thing unless you knew the right person or you were in the right Facebook group or in the right forum, as far as bait builder forums and things like that you couldn't really get unless you made them yourselves. So it's not as mysterious and as over there as it used to be. It's much more accessible to everybody's point. But I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think that big baits are gonna. It's not like the Arkansas Wiggler. It's not gonna fade into obscurity at any point. I think it's gonna be one of those things like the cotton cordell that you were talking about earlier. Like, that bait's been around forever and it's always caught fish and it's never gone away. It's considered an old bait now, but they're still making them. You can still buy them, readily available. And I think that these big baits are going to be the same. I mean, I think you're actually going to be seeing them in more places at better prices. I said better, but like more accessible prices.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for us, but
Right.
I think there's always going to be a market for the custom paint, the custom baits in general. I think that there's always going to be a market for that. And I think that market is growing as well. I think there are more people getting to that point.
Well, and yeah, and I mean, it's just to kind of, this isn't on exactly that topic, but it's when you were talking about the big companies making baits at more accessible prices. It's one of those things like, that's also been a consideration of mine. And I know that you guys talked to Mike about it, is like the ABS baits, right? So it's like, I don't ever want to get away from pouring resin baits and doing the custom stuff, but like maybe go the line of like, say, KGB and do like a ABS line of my baits that are offered cheaper. Like, I want to do the custom pouring baits, but if I can get ABS versions of them. But my thing is like, thus far, I have not fished an ABS bait that swims as good as resin or wood. And so like, I wouldn't be able to offer an ABS line until I personally said that it swims as good or better than the ones that I make by hand. So, but the thing is, I think we're getting there, right? I think these big companies are going to start offering glide baits that swim as good as ours. And, then what do we do, right? You either assimilate or you fade away.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys, that might not be a huge issue, right? You might just go, well, crap, now I have to stop making baits. For me, it's like, I have to stop.
Yeah.
My business just went under. I have to go back to doing something else.
Yeah.
So, I'm always cognizant of what's going on in that end of the world and like how to grow it effectively. Yeah, I think it all comes down to demand, and that's where the question about the hype comes is that, and I don't think there will ever be a time where big baits go away. It's just going to be how they're made, and it might come and it might cycle back to an ABS world until people eventually go, hey, I don't want to support this big company anymore. I'd much rather have a small company making my bait, and it might just roller coaster back to where we're at in say another 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And luckily that market is growing as well. It grows by the month. There are more and more people who are like, I used to buy everything at Walmart, but now I follow these guys on Instagram and they all make cool baits, so I want to try to buy some of theirs.
Right,
Maybe
exactly.
a little more expensive, but it's not it's not some faceless company that's stamping out 1,000 baits a minute. It's
right.
one dude in his garage or his basement just putting a lot of work and effort into a high quality item. So
And
I think that
the feedback is always like one of the best parts is like when a customer gets the bait and they send you like a message like, hey man, I got it, and it looks so much nicer in person than any of the photos that you sent, right? Like I'm holding it and it's just amazing. I can't wait to get it wet. But then my heart breaks when they message me and like had a dude bought one just the other day. He fished it for 3 hours and lost it, and it was a $200 glide bait. Like, you know what I mean?
It happens though.
Oh, I know it happens, but it just breaks. A little bit of me dies every time someone has to message me and say, "Man, I just lost that bait that I just got." Like I didn't even have time to appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, it's like that rat. I hope that guy passes it down to his grandkids. Right.
Yeah.
I want him to fish it.
But
I want
that's the risk you take, right? If he's going to fish it, he might lose it to that big muskie. But generally speaking,
and you know what?
Muskie
I'm okay
fishermen
with that
don't
too.
lose lures very often. Like I'll tell you that. Because our gear is set up like in a way that it's like you're not gonna lose baits, because I'm running a 100-pound braid, and like for my glides I'm running a 400-pound Malin hardwire leader. So you just don't lose a bait. Like I've hung them up in trees and like pull like the tree down, and the bait like, and, you know, or you have to cut the line. I had a dude I was fishing with cast one of mine up into a tree. He went home and got his chainsaw and cut the tree down.
It's worth it.
So, you know, we just muskie guys don't lose baits to fish very often. So your ret, if he's really a muskie fisherman, then it should be safe.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his experience is, but it sounds like it's something that he does pretty frequently. So, and being up in Wisconsin, I know they have him up there. So
a ton, big ones.
Yeah, I hope he does catch a monster on it. And like I said, I built that thing as sturdy as I had the capability of making it, but it's still like, I've never had a muskie caught on one of my wooden baits before, so I don't know. Like, we'll see. I gotta go watch the video. I'll watch. Yeah. I'll message you and let you know what I think. Okay. You're probably gonna be like, dude, tell him not to. Tell him no.
I'm sure
stick to bass.
I'm sure it's not.
No. I'm positive it'll hold up to bass fishing. Like I'm like, it's a topwater wake bait. Like that's all you're gonna be able to do with a rat anyway, or usually. And but like it's definitely gonna hold up to any size bass that you're gonna catch in this country. But muskie, that's like, you're talking 4 or 5 times the pulling power on that, and I've never had one tested like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, you don't know until you know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right. Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Dennis, thank you again for spending all this time with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's been great to get to meet you and get to learn more about you, and I'm sure our audience will feel the same. But yeah, don't forget to follow Dennis on all of his social media, links below. Don't forget to get yourself some boat snacks. This episode of the Bait Boys podcast brought to you by Boat Snacks. We'll leave a link to that, as well as the discount code BaitBoys10. And don't forget to go over to our Instagram to enter the drawing for a free 5-pack of Boat Snacks. Thank you all so much for joining us and for sticking through to the end. And as always, we will see you next time.
Adios. Great job, guys.